Welcome back to KNBR 680 AM Franchise Nation Sports Radio Network. I am your host, Andre Weingarten, and let's get into it. This is third and long, and the 49ers enter the bye week at 5-2. Unfortunately for them, they're dealing with injuries at the moment, and some of the injuries are pretty major. While Josh Wells and Brandon Watts are still on the IR, and they will be for the rest of the season, they are not designated to return. Bryce Petty will be back following the bye week. Unfortunately, he will be without two of the top three targets on this team, Bernie Lauderdale and Kris Arnold, for the foreseeable future. Lauderdale suffered a dislocated left elbow in the game against the Seahawks, and Kris Arnold broke his right thumb in that same game 2 quarters later. They're going to be out for at least a couple of weeks, maybe a little bit more. Luckily, the bye week gives them an extra week to kind of rest up, so it's not the end of the world. It means that Nate Hill, who has been the number one receiver, is still around, along with Charles Johnson and Kobe Fleener, who was kept on the bench just in case, and he was also used in red zone situations. Now, Fleener is more than capable of being that guy to be a number one tight end, but he wasn't as good as Bernie Lauderdale. He lost the job to him in the preseason. And now he has an opportunity to not win it back, per se, because Lauderdale has been incredible, but it gives him the opportunity to kind of come back and establish more of a role moving forward throughout the season. With all of that being said, we're going to get a call from Nate from Lombard Street, and then we're going to jump right back into the analysis of this team and the direction they are going.
Andre, always good to talk to you as always, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Getting started on that move soon, so I know you and I had talked about kicking it, crushing a couple beers. Obviously, we'll talk about it, do some stuff with that. But Franchise Nation, what's good? Before I get this thing going, a little cheap plug. I'm not one for these, so don't get used to them. Nate from Lombard Street, now available on the Twitter machine, at LombardStNate. So go on there, check it out. You'll see my profile picture. It's a picture of the Lombard Street sign. And just, hit me up on Twitter. We'll talk, we'll chill. We'll have a good time. And now, moving on to the Niners. With my first point on the Niners today, I don't really care that he was an early first-round pick. He was picked in the lottery. He was picked at number 11. He wasn't picked by a playoff team. That really holds no bearings with me. He wasn't picked number 1 overall, so here's my grounds. Jamal McNeal, this brother out here looking like Jamal McSteel. Oh, man! Ball hawking safety, can tackle in the open field, is just a boss, has the best hair on the team. I mean, really, I don't know how much you guys have seen this dude's hair. This dude has some great hair. But he makes big plays. He's a smart safety. He hawks the ball. He can go up and defend almost any receiver in the league that I've seen. Very impressed with this kid. I look for him to keep it going. The second guy, again, I think it just adds to the deadly enlistment of 49ers defensive players we have. I mean, just touched on Jamal McSteel, Darius Moats. I mean, he's just digging a moat around his castle. You can't go at that boy. It's not allowed. It's illegal. You can't throw at him. He'll hurt you. But and then I think we all know how I feel about Dre Kirkpatrick. Mike Daniels. Woo, that's a big boy. I mean, my God, I think Mike Daniels has been spending a little too much time at McDonald's. But regardless, this boy gets in the backfield, man, and he hits you. He hits you hard. He blows up the run. He can sack the quarterback, which is rare for a defensive tackle. And I'll hate myself if he's not actually a defensive tackle. But, for a guy his size, he can move. You got a couple Big Macs in him, but hey, that ain't no bearing. Big Macs are good. I like them. But regardless, Mike Daniels, just keep doing your thing, dog. You keep doing it. Now, the next one, I don't really like a lot of the backlash I've been hearing from some of these anti-Niner fans talking about how Kris Arnold and Bernie Lauderdale being hurt cost us our season. I look at that and people say, what are you going to do now? And I say, Oh no. How will we ever survive? I mean, all we have is Kobe Fleener, Nate Hill, Charles Johnson, Elgin Armstead, and oh yeah, this guy named Le'Veon Duncan, who's like becoming one of the best kick returners in the league. He's got like a cult following. So I think we'll... Seriously, like Mom! I'm doing the radio again. I'm talking to my friends. Leave me alone! What are you talking? It's Saturday! Saturday means chicken soup! I said chicken soup! Sorry, my mom, she's nuts. Fleener, Hill, Johnson, Armstead, Duncan, will be fine, guys. Trust me. And I think it'll show. Guys, that's all I got for this week. Nate from Lombard Street, once again, on Twitter. Always good to talk to you guys. Andre, I will talk to you soon, brother man. Suffice for. Peace out, Franchise Nation.
Thank you, Nate. You brought up some good points. I definitely think that Jamal McNeal has been fantastic for this team. He had a rough first start of the season when he took on Joseph Randle, who ran over everybody, basically. But he's been really good this season. He's got a couple of really nice interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. He's in the backfield. He's making plays. He's just doing everything he possibly can, and the team looks pretty good. It's interesting. There have been a lot of sacks for this offense this season. Foles has been sacked 8 times, Petty 6, so 14 total sacks through the course of 7 games, which is good. That's really good, actually. That's a little under about 30 a season, which is about league average, I guess. It's still good, though. And I think that has to do with the quick release of both Petty and of Nick Foles. The team just kind of does their thing and gets through, quick passes, some deep, a lot of play action, and they don't settle for a lot of sacks. They'll throw it away more often than not. I think that's a sign of some good coaching to make sure that they are aware of the situation and know to throw it away if they need to. But overall, the team has looked good, and there are some points where they need to improve moving forward, and we'll talk about some of the things that they need to look at going into the draft this year, because as the year goes on, the draft is becoming something a little bit closer, and it's worth at least looking into. But the 49ers definitely need some help on the offensive line. Christian Reeves really has not gotten it done. He's been a weak link on the offensive line. Bit of a disappointment. And at the same time, TJ Clemmings is good, but he's not... He's a good placeholder. He's not someone who you want to have to stick it out with forever if you don't need to. So looking at right tackle is definitely something that will be good. You need 2 good tackles in the NFL these days. The idea of having a great pass-blocking left tackle and a run-blocking right tackle is outdated beyond belief. So it's kind of important to figure out where everybody fits and figure out how you can make the most of the team and the pass blocking in general. So I think right guard and right tackle are definitely 2 spots that need to be addressed. Looking at the linebacking core, I think the linebackers are very good. I also think that the defensive line needs a little bit of help. Eric Armstead's been good, not great. And Sedale Hunt has been a little bit underwhelming in his rookie campaign, but he's not a true nose tackle. While the 49ers don't play a ton of 3-4, they play hybrid, as you know, and a lot of time they're in nickel or dime. They also play a lot of 4-4, a lot of 4-3, being that hybrid scheme, and it seems like Sedale has had some struggles from that nose tackle spot when put in the position. He's had a little bit of trouble penetrating from the inside. Maybe he needs to be more on the outside as a 3-4 defensive end, 4-3 defensive end, depending on the scenario. But Mike Daniels has been spectacular, and obviously the big thing that we haven't really gone into is quarterback. Bryce Petty will be back, and in his time as quarterback, he's been spectacular. But that's the issue. He's been injured too much. Nick Foles was not anywhere near a game changer. He was a good replacement. He was a good backup for us, but he's not someone who's capable of being a full-time starter, and that's just how it goes. He's just not that guy. And it'll be interesting to see how the team looks going forward. There are a few quarterbacks who the team's looking at in this year's draft. third-round projected guy, Matt Kenny out of Villanova, and Brady Johns from Nevada. Very similar style to Colin Kaepernick in that Nevada scheme, mobile quarterback. But he's better coming out of college, it seems, than Colin Kaepernick was. He's a much more refined passer, doesn't have that baseball background. He's been a quarterback for most of his career, also a track star. So it's kind of interesting to see how that'll go. But it seems like this team will need to address the quarterback position, whether it be getting a full-time starter or just getting somebody who will be a backup, kind of someone to compete with Bryce Petty and possibly take that starting job from Petty if he doesn't win the job initially later down the road. So, it'll be interesting to see how this team goes about the whole draft process. I think some depth on both the O-line and the defensive line is important. Maybe drafting another wide receiver in the mid to late rounds to be a guy to possibly replace Charles Johnson if he's not somebody who they want to retain, or to just be depth because obviously Jeff Janis and Rashad Green and Derwin Taylor are all right players, but they're not good. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Maybe drafting a backup running back because Duke Johnson has been good, but not great. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But at this point, the 49ers roster is pretty much set. Not many positions have struggled. Like I mentioned, Sadale Hunt's been a little bit off. Dallas Austin's been great. Malcolm Jenkins has been really good. Might go after another free safety to split reps with him. Replace Jimmy Ward because you need that guy to come in on those safety substitute packages, and Jaquiski Tartt has not been up to snuff. So, it'll be interesting to see where the direction of this team goes. But in terms of drafting, they have a lot of starters set. You don't need to worry too much about that. While guys can still lose the starting gig to someone who comes in, it'll be interesting to see who gets what and what treatment. There's some locks already. I think Eric Reed has earned himself an inside linebacker spot along with Juwan Carey. And then, obviously, McNeal and Jenkins. Ogletree has been a great nickel corner, but Dre Kirkpatrick has struggled a lot this season. So that might be another position to look at upgrading because Tyler Gordon has not been good enough to get into the rotation. He's practiced a bit, but he's been a little bit underwhelming. Le'Veon Duncan is too good on special teams to become a full-time corner. And Kirkpatrick, despite having 9 interceptions last season, has none this year and has been almost a detriment in coverage at times. So there'll definitely be some talks about that, maybe moving JT Ogletree up and putting Kirkpatrick in the slot. But everything will be decided in the near future, maybe even moving Kirkpatrick to free safety and drafting a corner and have him as a backup. There are a lot of options for this team, so we'll have to see where it goes. But the bye week is coming to a close. The 49ers will be back taking on the Minnesota Vikings next week. The schedule will be interesting moving forward. And Bryce Petty looks like he's finally getting back into the groove of things after suffering that knee cartilage tear. He's going to have to be a little bit careful, has a knee brace on, so we'll see how that goes. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I am Moonlight Swami, a.k.a. Andre Weingart, and I'll be talking to you guys later. Peace.